Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. Oh yes, here we go again, and we're doing Panalisa. Right, today we are going to be using what she calls her music sheets, which are part of her journal materials. There's all different styles of lined paper and grid paper in this pack, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And we are also going to be using Purple Brilliance. Look at that. You get all those different varieties in that pack, and it's like peeled paint and flowers and all sorts of gorgeous stuff. So we're using that one. And if you're feeling bookish, we're going to do that lovely book die. Right, I have tried to be organised, and we are also going to be using one of the stamps from the wildlife set that she sent me. I will try and link the haul, which should come back up after this video, and we're going to use the squirrel. So I've already got the squirrel on my mountain block, and I've got a scrap of white cardstock here, so I've got my squirrel on there. This one actually comes with a die, and I'm not using the die, I'm just going to use the squirrel today. So other stuff that I'm using: Distress Oxide in tea dye, a blending tool that I just knocked on the floor. Hang on a second. Yes, here we go. What a great start to the day. So tea dye blending tool, which rolled off my desk, and we are using Thus Fine Clay to stamp that squirrel. Right, so first of all, I've done some die cutting, so we need to see the little bits and pieces that come with this die. So first of all, I used one sheet of that Purple Brilliance cardstock that I just showed you, and that was to create the base for my card. Now this card is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, so that's going to be the base. And then with that die comes 4 pages, well 3 pages, and then you've got your back. So I've done that in craft cardstock. That is the book cover, which you don't really get to see because it gets covered up. And then you get a larger page, you get a medium page, and then on my smaller page I've gone with that lined paper. Now I've backed this with some white cardstock, and if you see, I've left a slight white edge, so I've left myself a shadow. I'm going to put some tea dye all around this, but hopefully it's going to take even more on that edge because I want to create a kind of shadow. Now I mounted it onto white cardstock, and I got some yucky glue on there, but I did that because I wanted it a little bit stiffer, because I want to be able to curl my pages slightly. Now also in that die set you get a little frame, so I've cut the frame in craft, and then with a little scrap of the background paper I've cut this, and this is 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, or is it 1 1/2? Let me have a look. Right, it's 1 1/2 inches square, so that is going into my little frame there, and I want that to sit over here. Now this is where my squirrel stamp comes into it, because I want to stamp my squirrel, kind of orient it so its face is kind of higher up, because with this die set you also get this fabulous flower. You can cut as many of these as you want to, and even use them on different projects, but I've only cut one. I'm going to try and get a close-up. There you go. Isn't that cute? I just love all of the embossing on that. So I've done one flower, but I've done 2 sets of the lovely leaves, which have got the same level of detail and embossing on them. So I've done 2 sets of those, so I'll share those, pop those down. And you get mushrooms. So I've already put, you probably can't see it, just a tiny little bit of tea dye on here, but I think I might add some more. And I cut these in cream, but I cut them in cream, but I've also cut them in red. And what I'm going to do is chop the stems off and pop the red tops on, and then I'm going to use my white paint pen, and there it is, and we're going to do some dots through the die. Now I'm just grabbing my scissors here because I want to chop these bits off, and I want to get it straight. So There we go. So now we've got a red cap. And we've got 2 red caps. So I can get rid of those little bits. And these, you have to excuse my dogs, they've seen the male lady. We'll go onto here so that we've got a lovely red cap to our mushroom. Now you can see the dye actually embosses, but because, you know, I don't have that much of a steady hand, I'm going to use the dye. I'm just going to move these to put my little white dots onto my mushrooms. So I'll do that first. And of course, in order to do that, you need to get your dyes back. So I'm just fertling through my bag here. And I'm going to get those mushroom dyes out. They're really cute. I do love woodland stuff. Well, you know me, I love gardening and an earthy nature. That's what I'll call it. Right, so the little bits that you chopped off, if you've got some nails, pick your bit up and put it back in there. Okay. And then I'm just going to pop that down. I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one. So straight back into the dye and just turn it over. And then you've got a lovely template for your paint pen. So you can just hold that back down in the dye. I'm just going to give this a quick shake because I haven't used it for a few days. And then I'm just going to go in there, into those little holes with my white paint pen. So I'm going to do all that and come straight back to you. Right, so I just finished doing the dots on this, and then I'm just going to give it a tap so that you can see. And that should come out. I'll grab my tweezers and poke it. There we go. So now we've got some lovely little dots on our mushroom, and I'm just going to do exactly the same thing to the other one. Right, so I've done that, and my paint pen did bleed underneath slightly, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to knock the white back now using my tea dye. So I'm just very gently going over the surface because this red is a very Christmas red. So I just want to dull it by adding some tea dye. And then I think it's just going to feel a little bit more natural for me. Not to look so harsh. And as I said, I'm not going to worry about where I leaked underneath the dye. Because if you want to, you can always go back and enhance the area where the dot's supposed to be. Right, so that's a little bit more sort of like dusky vintage. So now my little mushroom stems here, I'm holding them with my finger, and I just want to darken those up a little bit. And then we're going to glue the caps on. There we go. I will tell you, I went on over the Christmas period. I went on a little adventure to Joanne. Yes, I did. I thought I'll go and have a look at the cardstock, and I think they were doing 3 sheets for $1, which is a little bit more expensive than I usually pay, to be honest with you. And I saw this gorgeous pink heart cardstock, and it was in the same region of you know, everything else. And so silly me thinking I was getting 3 sheets for $1. No, it was $2.25 a sheet. So I got quite a few of them as well. I'm like standing at the checkout and I'm thinking, did I really spend that much? Goodness me. But yeah, it was my error. Yeah. I hope that you're able to see what I'm doing. I've got a little bit of bright sunshine. I'm not going to complain about that. It's chilly, but it's bright. So let's get that down. And hold those up. Hopefully you can see. They are a lot more vintagey looking. And the perfection, that just doesn't worry me at all. In fact, I'm likely to go straight back in with a little bit more tea dye on this one. That's still a bit too bright for me. Right, now while I've got the ink out, I'm going to move my little flowers and stuff off of these. I want to put tea dye, except for on the background, around all of my pages. So I'm just going to squidge my doodah in there. You can see what a good teacher I am. You'll all be going out saying, well, yeah, there's the doodah. Well, it's an ink blending tool. But doodah works just as well. And I just want to do the edge. So all I'm doing is putting a shadow on there that's really slight. You can see that lovely white shadow from that cardstock. So I'm going to do all of these pages in tea dye right on the edges like I'm doing this, and I will be right back. Okay, so all of the edges are tea dyed, and hopefully you can see we've got just a little bit of shadow there now on the edges of our pages. Now before I go any further, I want to stamp my squirrel onto my top page, and I want it on this side. So I've already got it on my block, and I've got my VersaFine Clair. There it is. I keep thinking I'm going blurred, but we will find out soon enough. So I'm going onto here, get some good ink coverage. These are lovely stamps, they really are. They are supremely thick. They're like photopolymer. Yeah, in fact I'd say that they were if I didn't know any better. I mean, look at how thick that stamp is. It's gorgeous. So I kind of want it so that I can see its face, because I want to be able to position my mushrooms. So I'm going to go there, and I don't want to mess up, so I'm applying sufficient pressure, I hope, because I want to get those little whiskers in and his little ear. So just go around his paws, and then you just have to pray. There you go. Oh dearie me. So a little close up of that. There we go. So we've got our little squirrel just there, like he's part of the book. And that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm just going to dust on the edges there again, just to make sure that it's still showing up. And I don't want to add any colour to him. I just want him, well, black and white. He's on a cream background, isn't he? Right, so now we need to glue our pages together. Now I want to add a little bit of curl to this, so I'm just going to use my paint pen, and I'm going to go through the pages. I've got my pen underneath, and I'm just going to curl them just really slightly. Don't want to overdo it. And the bigger the object that you use for curling, the less likely you are to crease your paper. Now if you look at it from that angle, you can see it's curled, and we're only going to be gluing down the centre, straight down the centre line of these. So I'll carry on curling this one and this one. Oh no, I can't do that one. I've got to glue my frame on first, and I'll be right back and we'll do that. Well, I'm back because I forgot to tell you we're folding them in half as well. That's the little step that I forgot. So just match up your corners and then just gently crease it there. You don't have to be absolutely crisp with your crease line, so that we're like this now. So we've got our two pages, we've got our crease line, so that it's going to go down like that. So it's almost, you know, like an old book with all. And if you want to curl a piece towards you, you can absolutely do that as well. In fact, we might do that in a bit actually. Right now then, with this one, before I can curl it, I have to put my frame on, because my frame has to curl as part of the page. You don't have to do this, but it's just what I'm choosing to do. So all of those little detailed bits need to be glued, otherwise they're going to pop up and stick up on you when you curl your page. So go around your outside edge for this, and then of course the frame itself, and just add blobs where you think you need them. There, I think that will do it. And I'm going right here onto the edge because I don't want to go anywhere near my center line. So I'm going to go there with that, and I'm going to let that dry, and I'll be right back. Right, so I've moved that white sheet of cardstock, and now I think this is dry enough that I can flex this around, and I also glued my little square piece into there so you can see that one. So very gently, because this is thicker than all the others, I just want to find the center by taking this over and just gently score it down the middle. There we go. And then I can take my paint pen and curl it a little bit like I did the others. But you can see what I mean. If you'd have tried to glue your frame onto something that was a bit curly, it just wouldn't have gone. So we've got a little bit of bend in our pages again. So putting this together, we're going to put this down onto here, and I'm going to try and get it, you know, pretty central, and just glue all over the back of it. I hope everyone's going to have a wonderful day today. I've been in and out of the garden nursing all my lovely new trees, and planted muscadines and persimmon, pomegranate. Been up to all sorts really. I just want to get that centered, and then I'm going to pop that down there. So that's our book cover, which is the base. So now that we've got that down, we can go in and do the pages. Now the pages are only being glued on the crease line, so it could be that I've got to do these one at a time and come back to you. So, but let's just get the first one in. I want to get it in the center. Make sure that I'm straight. Give that a gentle press. And this one again, up the crease line. Just a little bit either side. Just as long as you've got that, you know, freedom of movement of your page kind of thing. Get that in the center. Right, I'm just going to let those dry and I'll be right back. Right, so those are dry, and if I lift that up now, you can see you've got that lovely bit of dimension on there, and your curly pages, and you've got some lovely shadow. So that's what we've got so far. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to decorate my top page before I attach it onto here. Now I want all of my die cuts to be on this side, and I might put a couple of leaves here with the squirrel. So onto this little pattern piece, it doesn't bother me about, you know, covering it up. I'm going to go in with my mushroom first. This is kind of a little bit like flower arranging. I'm always saying that. Now I need to stay away from the centre, so I'm looking at where that crease line is. So I've got my first mushroom in, and then I think I'm gonna excuse me a minute. Right, here we go, sorry about that. And I've got my other little mushroom here, which I want to kind of overlap. So yeah, I'm looking at how I'm doing stuff. So I'm going to go down with my next little mushroom, A little bit of glue down there, and I'm going to go there. So I've got my little woodland scenario being built up here, and then of course the flower. So this flower is absolutely gorgeous, so I just want to attach it so that the leaves are overlapping, or shall I say the petals. There we go. And then we've got the centre. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue into there and do the same thing. I absolutely love this flower. There we go. I might put a little bit of tea dye around this actually. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Let me just cap my glue for a second. And I'm going to ruffle this up a little bit. By which time the glue should be dry. And I can pull those petals back on themselves. There, that's better. That's kind of calms the shades down a touch or two. And then I'm just going to go in with my nail and just lift up some of those petals. So I looked over at my clock there just to make sure that I wasn't still paused. Oh dear. So I'm just going under these, just lifting them up. So once again, we've got a little bit of dimension going on. This is such a sweet flower. This would look really pretty cut in blue as well. So it could be a little cornflower. People call them different things, don't they? Like bachelor's buttons, cornflower, centurion. So we've got our little pink flower that's going to go there. But I want some foliage above it, and I need to make sure that I save enough foliage for my little squirrel. So looking at sort of roughly where that is, I'm going to go there, and then with my little bit I'm going to go skew-if. And I want to kind of come out from there with a little bit going onto my mushroom. And then I'm going to pop my flower down. I'm going to put that right there. Right, and you can of course spread your pages a bit if they're curling up a little bit too much on you. And then I'm going to give my squirrel just a little bit of foliage, because you need something to munch on. So avoiding the crease in my page again, I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go down off the bottom of it. I'm going to go there. Ooh, got a helicopter going over. That'll excite Bo. Bo's a very strange dog. He chases birds, yeah, while they're flying in the sky. You know, vultures and eagles. He just goes scooting off down the garden. Why on earth he thinks he can catch them, you know, is beyond me. So we've got that one now, and I'm going to apply some glue here, and it might take a minute for this to dry. So I want to be in the center again. Okay, I'm going to hold that and I'll be right back. Right, and that's all finished. So, you know, no matter what style you choose, and I've gone for kind of wildlife, but you can do it in whichever style that you want to, and you've got all that great dimension of your pages. That squirrel stamps absolutely beautifully. Absolutely love that. And then you've got my mushrooms that, even though they're messed up a bit, that's absolutely fine. I still think that, you know, they're mushroomy enough. Just a really, really lovely set of dies. I mean, if you wanted to do that in all sweet candy colours with a little cupcake on the page and happy birthday, it's going to work just as well. But that is what I have for you today, and I do hope you have a wonderful day. As usual, all links below, and I'll be back with more from Panalisa tomorrow. Bye.